You are listening to Activate Evolution, a gateway to infinite possibilities with Jules Arness. Is your soul craving and longing to remember your path and your mission? Are you ready to activate your evolution? Connect to your heart, take a deep breath, and start your journey to infinite possibilities. Blessings, everyone. Welcome. This is Activate Evolution, a pathway to infinite possibilities. And today we are doing Ask Jules. So I have our community that is sitting with me today as we record, which I always love this reflection time. So before we start with the questions for today, we're going to do just a brief little reflection on the evolution symbol. And maybe I'll just hold it up really quickly for those of you that maybe don't know what I'm talking about. This is the evolution symbol. And then you'll see the actual symbols behind me on the wall as well. And this is a scalar technology. And this is the symbols themselves, the ones you see in the background. I've been playing with these, literally playing with them since I was 5 years old. And they definitely have their own intelligence, and they have a way of shifting consciousness on a cellular level. And so the activation that I want to do today is to kind of bring the symbols in, activate through the pineal gland, bring us into a place where we're able to receive all of the amazing frequencies that we're really being poured into right now. I mean, just that's the way it feels to me, that as we continue to ascend as humans, what I call the new human, the evolved human, the ascended human, some would call it the light body, however you see it, it is our body that is actually shifting. Our body is leading the way. And our cells, or the DNA specifically, are turning on those divine codes, and we will eventually attune consciously to the frequencies of those codes. And well, the point would be to meet 100% of that frequency to where we become divine intelligence. So the activation I want to do today is going to be through the pineal gland, and we're going to be working with a strand of DNA that is located there. I'm not going to go into this a whole lot. Those of you that are in Ohm codes will eventually learn this, but it is more of the ascended state of what the cells are. The third light body is actually my favorite body, or the third level of the ascension of the body is probably my favorite, because we start to work with the mitochondria and the powerhouse of the cell, and all of the kind of multidimensional ways of seeing the body. But it's not just the body, right? Because our consciousness is part of the body. And right now we feel like our consciousness is maybe separate from the body because we're still in observation, because that's the level of consciousness that we're holding. But as we continue to raise in frequency and we consciously meet those frequencies, we will actually just become the intelligence of our body, because our body is the most advanced technology there is. And right now we see it in the denser form that it's holding, because we are in observation of what we think is true. As we do this activation, we're going to open up the pathway from consciousness to those DNA expressions, so that we have an easier time attuning to what that intelligence is, so that we can move into thought form of that intelligence. And I think we'll just leave it at that and just go right into the activation, and then we can open it up to questions. So if you like to place your hands on your heart, you're welcome to. We'll just attune the body really quickly by breathing in a rainbow light bringing it, tracing it right along the brain, having it move down through the spine and then out through the mouth. And as this rainbow light enters the spinal fluid, the 7 elements are fully absorbed, activating the ascended ions. You can just feel those as they begin to bubble up within the spinal fluid. And that same fluid is the fluid that your brain, your physical brain, is floating in. And as those ions get really active, we activate the part of the mind that is connected to divine intelligence. We can feel these ions enter the heart space, enter the bloodstream, as we raise the frequency of the physical body, letting the 7 elements fully absorb into every cell, bringing us to a space of neutrality or 0 point. No time, no space. Then we'll enter the pineal gland in the center of the physical brain as we move into the DNA located in a specific cell within the pineal gland. And we'll bring in the first symbol of the Lu. You don't have to understand it, just telepathically know that it is entering the pineal gland, entering the cell, allowing the cell to hold no time and no space. And we'll bring in the second symbol of the Ska or scalar, allowing consciousness to hold no time and no space. And then we'll bring in the third symbol of the 33, bringing through the expression of divine intelligence. And specifically through this intelligence, we connect the frequency of this intelligence to our consciousness. And we'll just let this attunement move through the entire body as consciousness is connected to source frequency. And you can see the frequency as it moves through every cell of your body, connecting to the hydrogen bonds, allowing the H3O2 to electrify. And as the electricity begins to activate within the body, it's almost like a light show. All of the ions begin to click together, creating the ionic grid, where this intelligence can be stored and consciousness can merge. We'll allow that to lock in. And then if you'd like to bring your hands to prayer position, say thank you, I love you, it is done. Okay, so full body chills, that was a lot of fun. I'm going to open it up to questions now. This is your time. When I decided to do Ask Jules, I literally saw it like almost like a Dear Abby, but in an ascended level. So there's no limit to what questions can come here. These are just all about being able to hold reflection and bring something that maybe is I don't know, causing some friction or some static in your life, and we can do things to kind of shift those frequencies so that you can continue to ascend consciously into these beautiful frequencies that are activating within us. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. How do you say your name, honey? I see it starts with the A.
Yes, it's Alejandra. Alejandra.
Beautiful. Welcome. What is your
Thank you,
question,
Jill.
honey?
I love that beautiful exercise that we did. Very fluid and flowing. And I was just recently told I have an invasive breast cancer. And so any way to support me with that, I do have some swollen lymph nodes in the left armpit, and it is my left breast. And so you said anything.
We all are experiencing different things, but it's all relevant, right? And so thank you for being vulnerable and bringing this in. When we are shifting something that's deposited, kind of, let's say in the physical form, and it's holding form, right, at this place, the practice here would be to not meet the frequency that it's holding. So there's something that I call the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 1. And when we have something physical, especially if it's painful, it's really easy to meet the frequency of where it is. And then all we're doing is looping, right, consciously, or maybe even partly unconsciously in the frequency, and we're making it hold more form, you could say. But there's an opportunity to where, because our body is so intelligent, like how many people, you guys aren't gonna be able to see, those of you just listening, but how many people here just know on an innate level that we should be able to heal instantly? It's just like this innate knowing that you just know, and then you're just shocked when it doesn't happen, right? Well, there's a reason for that. And the reason is because we never actually move out of the frequency for a long enough period of time to hold consciousness that that place of us actually healing can happen, because we're always in observation of what it is that we're trying to shift. The only way that we can move out of the observation of what it is that we're trying to shift is to actually move out of the state of consciousness of the observation itself. And so for you, what I would suggest is calling in the frequency of who you are when you're healed. And that's in that way I say who, because it bypasses the ego wanting to identify in what you're experiencing right now. So if we create what we call an avatar and allow yourself to become something different, and this avatar would be you 100% healed. This is the easiest way to move out of the consciousness that's an observation of what's happening and to become something different. So let's just all do it. So whatever it is that you're experiencing in your life right now, that you're in observation of, and you can't get out of the observation of it, you're in the loop. We all know what that feels like. So just think about what that is. And then for you, of course, it's seeing yourself as 100% healed. So just shut your eyes for a moment and just see what that person looks like. What does she feel? What is she thinking? What is she doing with her day? Feel her body lighting up. Feel her body just being in this ascended state.
Okay, you broke up a little bit, but I heard you say, what does she feel?
So what is she feeling? What is she thinking?
Okay.
What is she doing with her day? I want you to visually see the difference, like see yourself.
Do you want me to speak this or just follow with that?
Yeah, just shut your eyes and let yourself see it.
Okay.
See it, feel it, whatever you're like if you have a clair that's the strongest, whether that's sensing it or seeing it, let yourself have the experience of however it feels the strongest. And then I want you to ask, for your consciousness to meet the frequency of who you are when you're 100% healed. And then let yourself have that experience. And now from this day forward, every single morning, I want you to connect to her again. Every single night before you go to bed, you connect to her again. And then most importantly, when you can remember, even if you have to set an alarm on your phone, you connect back in until this person becomes real and your consciousness becomes you as a healed person. And every time that you want to go back into the observation of what you're experiencing right now, you remind yourself, oh, but I'm becoming this. And then you let your consciousness merge back in and you start asking those same questions. If I'm 100% healed, how am I spending my time? What kind of thoughts am I having? What am I feeling? And eventually your consciousness will become this new person. We could go on and on of different things that you can do, but this is the simplest way that I can give you an exercise to start working on in the short amount of time that we have. So I hope that this is helpful. The other thing that can be really fun is to kind of see yourself as that is 100% healed person as almost like an energetic grid, and then feeling your physical body that you're experiencing now merge with that grid, and then start to consciously, like almost like you stepped into a whole nother body and have the experience of what that body feels like. That's kind of fun to do too. I'm like,
Great.
ooh, because it really is that way.
Thank you. Love it. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jules.
Thank you for that question, honey. Okay, I'm not sure who is next, but we'll go with Rebecca.
My question, is there ever a reason why you would want to have a specific intention versus just having the kind of more general intention of staying in the fourth level of consciousness, staying in my divine self and allowing that to unfold?
Yes, absolutely. And I love this question. So yes, having an intention, especially when we are first starting to master what level of consciousness we're in, and we're learning to master what it is to manifest in those higher frequencies, we use intention so we have something to focus on. Because when we create an intention, it brings in a new frequency. And then the practice becomes to attune your consciousness to the intelligence that that frequency has. And so it gives us a very active way of participating in the intelligence that we're turning on, you could say, because otherwise it can be a little bit harder to recognize what level of consciousness it is. This gives us one frequency pattern that has an intelligence that's creating something for us to learn. Am I in the first, second, third, fourth? And then we have something to like very specifically to work with, versus just keeping it all open. It can be a little bit harder in the beginning. Eventually you will move to a place where you're not really using intention anymore because you're just in the listen and do. That's when you know that you're in the fourth level of consciousness for the most part, because you're no longer trying to manifest anything. You're just in flow of the listen and do. Is that helpful?
It is helpful. And I think the reason I'm asking is because I almost wonder if that question is stemming from a place of almost wanting to disown my own power and take a step back from it, versus saying, no, intuitively, I know the intentions that should be stepping into. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like I don't want to own those. And so your question is very helpful because it's telling me you got to own it. You got to step into it with a little bit of specificity in order to get to that kind of next level.
Absolutely. Another way just to monitor kind of where you are right now, Rebecca, is that if you're not feeling uncomfortable, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
because if
getting
you're
that.
looking for comfort, then you're in the ego. But if you're willing to be uncomfortable and kind of stretch yourself outside of your programming, it does feel uncomfortable in the beginning, right? Because you're not identifying, you're in that abstract frequency where you haven't self-actualized in what you're becoming yet. That's where I'm going to offer the same thing to you, is create an avatar, create
Mhm.
somebody who you are in the space of what the intention is, or what the divine is asking you to create. Those divine codes that are turning on is like, yep, you're going to move up here now. Is to create an avatar to become, because it gives the ego something to be, even when you're holding abstract frequency that you haven't self-actualized in. At least you can pretend that you have by imagining who you're becoming.
Yep.
The same questions. How am I feeling when I'm this person? How am I thinking? What am I doing with my day? And bringing it down to the place of like, before you get out of bed, if I was this person, how would she get out of bed? Would I make my bed right away? Or would I go to the bathroom and then come back and watch? I mean, like literally, it sounds so silly, but it's forcing you to move into a different state of consciousness. And it's actually really fun, because you have to tune in to the frequency of what you're becoming before you can decide what to do next, right? And then you can obviously start to do that with bigger things.
That was perfect. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. Jess.
Hi.
Hi.
So this is kind of going back to basics. Even I've been doing this work with you for a few months. But if you could share a little for me to to work with this, because I am faced daily with managing this mentally ill person's life. And so it's perfect in the sense that it's challenging all the truth of what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth and the challenge for me of having dealt with that mental illness since others' mental illness and narcissism is forever. So I'm being forced into, I'm being not forced, but challenged to hold to this other frequency, and I'm not doing very well with it.
Mm.
So without the story, that level of challenge it's just, as I said, it's perfect because I have to work with this even more.
It's your
But if you
spiritual
could have
practice.
it is absolutely, but it's so it's costing me my health and my life.
Well, and that's your choice, honey, because there is this part of you that I hear wanting to move into the victim of this, and I'm not going to let you. Like, I won't meet you there.
No,
And
that's
just
why
let
I'm
me
bringing
finish.
this
Let me
forward.
finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Right.
So you're asking for help, so I'm going to give you help.
Yes.
But the first thing you need to do is not be the victim. So that's a number one, is that you aren't a victim, and you do have choice, and you're choosing to be in this.
Mhm.
Okay. And so because you're choosing to be in it, the first thing that I would have you do is to identify what it is that you're getting out of it. Because there is something positive that you're getting out of it. Whether you have to sit with that and figure out what that is. And if you're saying, no, I'm not getting anything, then you're not being honest with yourself. Because the first thing you need to do is be honest with yourself so that you can take back your power. Because right now you're not holding your power in this situation. You're giving your power away to it. And until you know what it is that you're getting out of it, then you will continue to lose your power to it. So that's number one. Now, holding your frequency in a difficult situation, let's look at that.
Yeah.
So use the symbols, bring them telepathically into your heart space, wherever it is, and then let them move into the relation or whatever your experience is. It was fun when we were doing a DQ cert there was a woman there that her little boy was being bullied at school. And so we literally were having him like get the symbols and shoot them out of his hands into his environment to create a sense of neutrality with the situation. And you could tell that it was shifting the frequency with us, just even coming up with these fun ways to use frequency to shift where you're consciously meeting the situation, because every single situation is divine. Every single one of them. It's just what you're experiencing within the God sphere, or what level of frequency you are consciously experiencing it from. So what I would suggest for you, Jess, is number one, sit with this and really be honest with yourself about what you're getting out of it. And then once you have the choice that I'm choosing this for this, then you have your power. Then you can raise your frequency by always meeting my high self and their high self are having this experience. And if I'm not experiencing my high self and their high self, that's on me, right? And so the practice is that I'm choosing to see every situation in my life as divine. And then you practice it. And if you're not, then you know that you're experiencing it through your ego or your programming. And then you do, I mean, that's what our whole entire platform is about, right? And that's what this technology is. It's this, what level of consciousness are you in? Absorb the 7 elements. And you don't know the whole technology right now because you're really new into all the things that we're teaching. But there is ways of holding consciousness in what we would call the 9, the space where you can be within the matrix, but not of the matrix. And that's the invitation here. But even these little things that I've just given you, like all of the things. So we're talking about the avatar, we're talking about using the symbols, we're talking about creating choice, being honest with yourself. Even if that's all you do, you're going to see a shift because it's going to force you to move out of the level of consciousness that you're holding. You got it, girl. It's this is your spiritual practice.
Absolutely. And that's why I said it's perfect, which I feel is divine, but my response is still in the old looping.
And so now you know that it's a loop and you can create choice to move beyond it. All right, my lovelies. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. So if I didn't get to answer your question, please come back next month because we will do another one of these. Next month, we will be doing it the week before because I will be, actually, I'm not sure. I'll post for sure. I'll send an email out that day. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I will be here. But anyways, if you are listening live, thank you or live or not live, you're listening to the recordings. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sending you all so much love and a great big hug until we meet again. Definitely step into your highest potential and we will see you next year. Bye, everyone. Are you ready to take the next step into infinite possibilities? We invite you to discover more ways to play at activateevolution.com.